Hi, my name is Dan Donaldson, and before I met Christ, I was definitely searching. St. Augustine wrote, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O Lord." That was definitely me. I had a lot of head knowledge about Jesus Christ, but I didn't have a heart knowledge of him. I didn't have a close relationship with him, and I'd say he was probably more of an acquaintance than a friend. And then I met some people who spoke about him in a different way than I'd ever heard before. They talked about Jesus like they knew him as a friend. Well, those people that I spoke about who had this friendship with Jesus were evangelical Christians, and I was very drawn because of their enthusiasm for their faith. And unfortunately, it drew me away from the faith that I was raised in, my Catholic faith. And my wife and I drifted away, and we wound up going to an evangelical church for a number of years. Um, but what happened in terms of my Eucharistic encounter is a result of Bible study, and really falling in love with sacred scripture and being a part of men's groups and mommy's groups and couples Bible studies and so forth. So we fell in love with sacred scripture. But my wife, Andrea, felt really drawn back to the Catholic Church. I didn't. It became a real issue in our marriage, and we in fact even started going to counseling. But the real kicker came when I came home from work one day, and our oldest son Jacob was on the couch crying. He was 9 years old at the time. He had the Bible in his lap, and I said, "Jacob, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" And he said, "Papa, it says right here that I don't have life in me." He was reading the 6th chapter of the Gospel of John, and that cut me to the heart. And I eventually wound up in the office of Father Richard at the local Catholic church. He was a guy that I had been arguing with for a couple of years about the Catholic faith, and I told him about the experience. He says, "You're ready to come back, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, Father Richard." And he put it on his stole. He said, "Well, let's go to confession." And he walked me into the confessional, heard my confession, and welcomed me back to the Catholic Church. And my wife and I received the Eucharist that Sunday. Well, if I could give advice to my younger self, I would say this: to develop your friendship with Jesus, spend time with him. Spend time with him in Eucharistic adoration. And there is a tabernacle where he resides in every single Catholic church throughout the world. And if your parish is blessed to have perpetual adoration, you can go sit face to face with him right there.